Welcome back. Attorney General Douglas Moylan is seeking a criminal indictment by the grand jury in the Superior Court of Guam. And the documents Kandit News has uncovered point to a criminal case involving the office of the governor's purchases before, during, and after Typhoon Mawar. In a June 13, 2023 subpoena ducis tecum and testificandum, Assistant Attorney General Gloria Rudolph and the foreperson of the grand jury commanded the custodian of records, Guam Homeland Security Office of Civil Defense, or GHS OCD, to appear and testify before the grand jury tomorrow, June 20 at 2:30 p.m. According to Office of Civil Defense Administrator Charles Esteves, the custodian of records is Marie Kenga. Along with her commandment to appear and testify, Ms. Kenga is required by the grand jury to bring with her all procurement documents GHS OCD recorded since May 1, records regarding the emergency alert system, correspondence with the governor's office and the government procurement arm General Services Agency, and, quote, any and all correspondence between GHS OCD and any media outlets related to any request to be present on site at GHS OCD during Typhoon Mawar, end quote. The subpoena was issued 3 days after the Guam Daily Post uncovered a scandal involving a GHS OCD procurement of a radio station owned in part by Governor Leon Guerrero. GHS OCD is a division of a governmental unit called Executive Direction, which is run by the Office of the Governor of Guam. During a disaster response and recovery coordination, the governor assumes the command role. According to her spokeswoman, Crystal Paco San Agustin, the governor's chief of staff, John Jr. Calvo, has the role of governor's authorized representative, who is the person who directs and approves the movement of resources during the coordination. It was Ms. Paco San Agustin, according to GHS OCD Public Affairs Officer Jenna Gamendi Blas, who made the request for the procurement. The purchase order and emails surrounding the procurement verify this fact. Ms. Paco San Agustin also has the role of Joint Information Coordinator during the disaster response and recovery. The radio station, primarily K57, was used for 4 hours every weekday from May 2 through the week after the scandal was uncovered to promote propaganda in favor of the governor's typhoon response efforts. The 2-hour talk show in the morning and 2-hour talk show in the evening featured 2 of the governor's senior advisors, former journalists Jane Flores and Carlotta Leon Guerrero. According to the Post story, both Flores and Leon Guerrero have disagreed with callers who have been critical of the pace and effectiveness of the government's response during the shows. They also have used some of the airtime to effuse praise when describing the state of recovery. Quote, we are hitting it. I'm so pleased with the government of Guam's response, I have to say, Carlotta Leon Guerrero opined during their morning broadcast on June 7. And Jane Flores added, we're listening. We're hearing your frustrations. Everyone who doesn't have power or water is frustrated. But you know what? 2 weeks in, we're actually doing pretty darn good, Guam. I think we can all give ourselves a pat on the back. End quote. Both Ms. Blas and Ms. Paco San Agustin have defended the procurement, stating it was the government's way of disseminating information to the public at a time when several media stations were not properly functioning. However, the Joint Information Center never mentioned or promoted the so-called official news source in any of its dozens of JIC news releases providing essential information to the public since the inception of the purchase order with K57's parent company, Sorensen Media Group. Shortly after the Post broke the story, Mr. Moylan issued a statement confirming his office was investigating the matter. He also called on senators to ban companies in which governors have financial interests from participating in government procurement. Quote, the Guam legislature needs to outright ban any business that has a financial connection with the governor or her immediate family, the Attorney General wrote in the aftermath of the scandal's break. He continued, their piecemeal and ineffective ethics law has to strike at the heart of the gubernatorial dynasty families who have multi-million-dollar financial interest to taxpayer purchases, end quote. Mr. Moylan, who does not comment on grand jury proceedings, has cast a wide net in his investigatory case number AG number 23-1061. While his subpoena includes correspondence with the media regarding procurement matters, he also has subpoenaed records and testimony regarding all of GHS OCD's procurement records dating back to May 1. On Thursday, and in response to the subpoena, Governor Leon Guerrero's 4 publicly paid attorneys at the governor's office filed a declaration in support of their motion to quash the grand jury subpoena, effectively to kill the criminal investigation. Kandit could not source the governor's motion to quash, though we repeatedly have asked the governor's office since Friday for the documents pertaining to the case. However, we were able to find counsel's declaration providing 8 exhibits in support of the motion to quash. Those 8 exhibits include the governor's executive orders related to the typhoon, the president's major disaster declaration for Guam, and a news release from the office of the president. Kandit Monday morning asked Ms. Paco San Augustine why the governor's office is attempting to quash the criminal proceedings. She replied she is, quote, checking with legal, end quote, but has not responded to the inquiry since. Kandit also asked Ms. Paco San Augustine why public resources are being used in the defense of a person or persons allegedly involved in a criminal corruption matter. The 4 governor's office attorneys who have entered themselves into the grand jury criminal proceedings are publicly funded lawyers for the civil affairs of the governor's office. Quote, those lawyers are not supposed to be representing the governor or anyone in her office in any criminal proceeding, an attorney who agreed to be quoted on condition of anonymity stated. The attorney continued, if the governor or anyone on her publicly funded staff needs a criminal defense lawyer, the taxpayers should not be footing that bill. That's a personal expense unless they qualify for public defender services, end quote. Ms. Paco San Augustine also did not answer this question as of the publication of this story. When we come back from this commercial break, we will bring you the power outage schedule for tomorrow by the Guam Power Authority. Stick with us.